Order the December 8th, 2022 Bargersville Redevelopment Commission meeting. Everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call from my right.
James Pfeiffer.
Eric Prime.
CJ Faircourt.
Mark Neal.
Rob Daniels.
All present accounted for. Moving to new business and updates. Item A, facade improvement program. Status update, Mr. Joe.
I wish I had a really great update for you on this. As I said previously, December is a lean time in local government. I've been delayed in getting any kind of response back from other communities. I did get one back from Franklin yesterday afternoon. So we're going to continue to work on that and see what models are out there for y'all. Hopefully come back with some kind of a draft program in January meeting.
That was quick. Update on Hamburger Plaza design, Mr. Newport.
Good morning. Trent Newport with Crossroad Engineers, and we are under contract on the design. We talked with you about some funding options in the past, and I think the direction that I got is that we're interested in that DNR funding, which has some strings attached with it as far as the timing of the project. In other words, if we submit in, I think it's June for the application, you find out in a few months or in the fall that the money might not be available. You know, reportedly what's been happening the last few years, you can't break ground until the federal money's approved officially, and that takes months more. So we kind of said the last time we were here, you would have to have some patience if we want to go after that grant, because construction probably would not start until the spring of 24. So that's kind of the direction we're going until you tell us different. That grant has been $500,000 matched. So in other words, you get $500,000 if you put $500,000 in. That's the max. We were told verbally that the pot of money they have, they could raise the max, so it could go up to $600,000-700,000 this year. And then I know that there's some talk about using some other grant money as well. Recently, you're trying to seek some for the project as well. So that's kind of where we're at. The budget that we kicked off with when we said we're ready to go was $1.5 million for the project. So well within the parameters of utilizing the 50-50 match with the DNR if we get it, and even having excess cost that you could, use with other matches if you choose. That 1.5 million had a restroom building and had some of the plaza features that were along there, but had kind of it wasn't doing anything with the crane structure, the bin structure. It was removing everything, but then leaving the bin as is and kind of putting a stage in front of that. The things that we've talked about recently is kind of shifting gears a little bit and utilizing that structure for some kind of a stage for events, and then in non-event time, it would be just a platform, maybe with some seating or a pavilion style. And so what we found out is that at first we weren't sure if we could get access to the bin, right? So then you found out that we could get access to the bin as of January, right, of 23. And then it would be cleaned out, I think I understand. And so in order to utilize that, we got to get our eyes on it to see what kind of condition it's in. The options would be just tear the thing down and build something similar to that kind of a structure aesthetically in the same spot, or use what we can. We were told earlier on by the structural engineer that, just taking the sides off and keeping the roof would not really be financially feasible to do for wind loads and everything else, to be able to put people underneath that. So, but we can still potentially use the foundation. One of the things we need to do to figure out if the foundation is structurally okay is to put our eyes on it, and then also get some information on it by like a scan or a borings for it. So we did get a cost proposal from Patriot Engineers to do some of that geotech investigation, and it's in the $7,000 range, $7,500 range. There's pieces of that we could do or not do, and we kind of would like to put our eyes on it first to see what we think is needed. But those could be some extra costs that we would need if we say it's doable, but we need to know structurally what's in it so that we can attach some things to it, put a roof on it, and it could support those kind of things. The other side of that is that we did not have in our contract anything to build, design a structure like that. And so we did get a proposal. We had a structural firm already on board with us that was for the restroom building. And so we had a teammate who could help with it, but we did not have a cost in the contract. And so between the structural engineer and the architect for coming up with a design, their cost proposal was like $51,000. I thought it was kind of steep, so I went back to them and they did whittle it down a little bit to $45,000. But those are decisions that after January 1, and we get a look at this thing, I think we're going to have to decide what to do because we don't. I think that before we really say, yeah, we're ready to go forward with an extra cost for the structural and the architect, I think the thing that would really help us to even whittle that number down more is to give them more direction on what we are doing. So we really get specific about what we're doing. I think they already told me that basically with us just not knowing what we want, they put some time in there for some back and forth on some ideas and structurally. And so if we can, through our committee, our subcommittee, have some meetings and kind of decide after we put our eyes on it, what we want to do, then I think that's the best course of action. I feel like that still gives us time. If we get rolling with some of these decisions in January, we can still have what we need put together in the spring for this application for DNR, and still keeps us on time for construction of 24. But I'd like to make it kind of put it on record that construction 23 is going to be difficult at the pace that we've started here over the last 3 months since we kind of got under contract. Be happy to answer any questions.
I may have missed it when we started off. You said we can't start on the project until the grant's been approved. If we apply for the grant,
Yeah,
we can't start and then.
yeah.
Potentially.
You cannot break ground. You can start on designing, but
From the construction,
we cannot break ground on construction until the grant is actually executed by the federal government. Because that money comes, it's through DNR, but it's a federal grant that they get the money from. And their rule is cannot break ground until then. So that's what puts us in the spring of 24.
We are still, because Joe, aren't you, you're gonna be writing the grant, right?
Well,
We're still planning on pulling out the demo, though, right?
clearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I'm assuming that's
So
not
that-
hearing.
that can all happen.
And then the build.
Yeah.
the actual-
Yeah. Well, it's semantics, right? But what we say is, well, the project is not removing the stuff because that's already done, right? So the project is building the stuff, and it doesn't break ground until we start what we're doing. So, our plans that we would submit to DNR would just say, well, these buildings are all gone. They've already been removed by others, kind of thing. And again, we think that makes sense. If we got a good opportunity to do that time-wise, it shows some progress. And also we feel like, the prices you're getting are a good price versus going through a bigger contractor to do it. And so financially it makes some sense. And I still feel like, the 1.5 million we kind of settled on, I think was probably on the low end of what you guys wanted really to do some things. And so if that number creeps up and we are able to get 700,000 and another grant, there's still, even if this project goes to 2 million, I think it sounds like there's some grant opportunities that we can do to get, the best out of that use of this other money. So, and keep in mind that our 1.5 million does not include doing anything with the bin. It did include a flat concrete stage area to the south of the bin that could get smaller, so we could have some offset in cost in what we're doing with the bin structure. And we haven't evaluated that yet, because I really got to get my head around what is the cost of what we're doing with the bin first. And then I can come to you and say, okay, the bin is extra, here's all the extras of design and construction, but here's some savings we make on the rest of the project because we eliminate some of that large concrete area that was going to be a stage. I think the idea of the bin is, if we can't use the structure that's there, but we can use the foundation or the shape of it in a new foundation, is to build something that aesthetically replicates a bin structure, but has lights. Maybe it only has a half wall, a back wall, but it has a light structure and has something artistic in it that, represents. So I'm not your architect, so there's gonna be a lot better ideas than the ones I'm throwing out. But I just want to let you know that that's kind of the thought pattern of what we would do in that space. So that, for the people that always saw it there, they're gonna remember it in that same location, and it's gonna look the shape, and, but it's gonna look more like something that is for a stage, event stage.
Any questions for Trent? All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope to be back in January with more information. These meetings are which Thursday? Second Thursday. That might be a little premature of having a lot more information, but if we can get in right after the first, we will, and try to have
January 12 and February 9 are the next two.
Okay, it would probably be February 9 is probably the one where we might have a little bit more information to share, just because once we get in, I think we need to meet with our subcommittee and kind of run through some things, and then so I'd say February 9 is probably a better goal to present something with really some meat to it.
Just get up with Dan and Stephanie and we can get you on the schedule.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Trent.
Thanks, Trent.
All right, speaking of Crossroad Engineers, the contract for the P&L parking lot, Mr. Cartwright.
Yeah, before I do that, I would like to just mention regarding the plaza, it's my understanding that the town may have some ready funds, that leftover ready funds that we might be able to shift to this project too. So we're looking at that, but there's other options. But I did want to mention that to you. The only thing I had on the Crossroads engineering thing is, we keep waiting. We've been waiting for an agreement between Humbarger and you folks. That's finally been done. Crossroads is under contract. I did execute the contract with Crossroads to start on the parking lot. So that's the only information that I wanted to let you know about. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of site survey stuff that they can do right now because the seller's market has utilized that space for a laydown area. So I'm not sure that have you done anything on it?
Well, the survey is done, actually. We did it before, and I don't think anything's changed except for they moved some stone around and stuff. So, no, and we'd already done, if you remember, we had done some preliminary work on it. So, no, we're hitting the ground running. I would anticipate we would try to get a package together to bid in February or March.
Okay.
And build it when the weather allows. This is kind of work that you really can't do until April anyways, because it's all top up work that's temperature sensitive. But I would expect that we'd be ready to go in April. I know it's a parking lot that's already being used and needs to be done. So yeah, we should be fine for that schedule.
While I'm up here, can we jump to the next thing on my jump over appraisals and is that okay? Okay, you have in your packet the 2023 meeting dates. Those Stephanie developed those based on the input that you folks had. So I believe you probably need to look at these dates. If they're okay, I think you probably need to adopt them. Is that right?
Yes, but I noticed it looked like a couple of the months for the first Thursday. Was that intentional?
Nope.
Okay. I think April, July, and September should be April 13th, July 13th, and September 14th if we're going for the second Thursday.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull it up.
So April 6th should be the 13th. And what was the other ones?
July 13th, September 14th.
You're correct on the April. You said July?
Yes.
Can't be the second, there's only the 6th.
July 13th, you are correct. Or 14th, I'm sorry.
July 13th.
It needs to be 14th. Sorry.
I think it's the
Is that what you said, Al?
No, the 13th is a Wednesday.
in July.
Yes.
I've got July 13th.
Yeah, July 13, that's a Thursday.
What year?
23.
So it is July 13th.
Yeah,
Yes.
and September 14, those are all accurate.
What was the third one?
September.
Oh, I'm sorry, July, September.
April was the first one. So
Yeah, they're all, that's all correct.
April,
Well, we apologize for that printing issue there, so. I think you folks need to adopt these as meeting dates with the changes for April 6th, April 13th, July 6th to the 13th, September 7th to the 14th.
Oh, is that by acclamation or do we have to actually vote?
You can do consensus.
So do we have a consensus to accept the dates as amended on the document in front of us? We good with those? Yep. All right. Let the record reflect there's consensus on the revised dates.
Jamie, now those are all right with you, right?
Yeah, they're great.
One other thing I'll say real quick is, appreciate those of you who have got your stuff into Stephanie, as far as interest to be reappointed. If you haven't, you gotta get it in because, I'm trying to wrap all that up and get that to the council very, very soon. And we do have an opening with Jamie going off, and we've got some applicants on that too. So we're working on that, but if you haven't got your application in, I really need to try to today because I'm trying to get this done, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Jumping back up to item D, appraisals for 135, 144.
That's mine. As part of the sale, technicality, if you will, is getting updated appraisals and publishing notice. So I'm asking for your approval for a staff member to engage the same appraisers to do that. Not necessarily immediately, but I don't want that to slow you down as you move forward with Barrett and Stokely. So I'd recommend using the same people who already did it last year. That was Stevenson and McLean, Cunningham, and Gilligan.
We talked on from a standpoint of, based on their previous site visit and all that, is there any type of reduced fee?
Carissa was the point person last time. I don't know if that's still appropriate or not. So no, nobody's talked to them, but that would be my hope.
Sure. And what's the earliest? How much timeline? I mean, they got to be current, obviously, but this is something that
It would
have to
be,
do
it would
sometime
be,
in 23 based on the conversation earlier.
right, it would be closer to the closing date.
That's not going to be done until the end of 2023, right?
I don't remember what the.
Couldn't see the
They
month.
said there was hopeful that they would get it executed in 2023.
So yeah, this is a next summer project, probably. But she just wants authority to be able to let the town move forward with that when they need to. So we have a,
Well, the only question I would have is, based on what timing
Like, are you saying, like, when would the appraisals go stale? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, are we just gonna say, hey, order them anytime? I mean, I'm not saying she would, but is we're consulting with you, or at least, we don't wanna order them in February or March, presumably. If we start to project the closing in August, it's gotta be pretty, somewhat time sensitive. I don't know what it
It
is.
does, and I didn't realize they were as far out
Okay,
until today, so we can I can make a note to hold this and bring it back in.
well, I'm okay saying, okay. I just
Yeah,
want time
yeah.
standpoint.
And what's the trigger? Is it the actual signature or is it even the MOU? Like, I mean,
The rule of thumb would be when you actually close, the appraisals need to be, no more than 6 months old.
okay.
There's no hard and fast rule.
Would you be authorizing Dan to enter into that contract then?
I don't know that it'll be a contract, but yeah, a staff member to engage.
We have Stevenson and, the other company that did the initial appraisals on this property, under contract now for another project.
Will those need to be used in any type of discussion with the developer related to negotiations?
Only if it helps your position.
Well, I mean, we would be the ones that would know that, not them.
Right.
They're gonna be, I mean,
Right.
it's confidential info. I mean, I just don't know when again, I'm just thinking about from a timing standpoint, when we want to have it done.
So how specific do we need this motion to be then in terms of timing? Authorize staff to engage those at the appropriate time, or is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a
That's
motion.
good, that's good enough.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Aye.
I will be taking care of working with the appraisers. I will be the contact person for that.
You now have authority to do that, so.
At the appropriate time.
But there's nothing to do for several months.
Yes. All right, next agenda item is approval of the minutes from our November 10 meeting. We have the opportunity to review those. Any corrections, edits, comments? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve November.
Motion, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Aye.
Okay, next item, resolution number 2022-10, 15 North Baldwin facade grant materials request, which was continued from the November meeting. This is the old police station.
The old police station. And for my stellar update on my grant, on my facade grant program research. Basically, same request as last month. 50-55, some renderings of what the building may look like. In your packet, we have some hard copies there. So this would be structured as a redevelopment grant at this point, running through Bargersville Main Street, similar to what we've done in the past. The property owner here. Yes. So he's available to answer any questions we have.
I've got the same question. Do you have a signed lease agreement or?
We do not have a signed lease agreement. We have a dentist that's very interested in it. However, she's gotten estimates for a build out and they're substantially higher than what we thought they'd come in about $450,000. So she's going to try and get better numbers. We're hoping once we get the facade done, should we want to move forward. She wants to see what it looks like.
Have you done any, has anybody looked at what like a tax abatement for this project would have been for 5, 7 years?
We have not looked into that.
We typically have both to look at just to see what it would be if we went that route, what it would be if we went with a straight up grant. So if you can maybe work with Joe or Al or somebody to get that, that would be good.
Does this elevation include incorporating, is there an existing black canvas awning on it?
There is an existing.
And are you talking about removing that?
Correct.
Good. Sorry.
Oh, I thought that was included in the, what they were doing. Okay, so that's what's a part of that.
Yeah, I think basically this request is just to replace that facade. There's a window and a door there. I think the request is to basically replace that with a glass wall that is similar to the building next door.
I don't want to necessarily speak for everybody else, but I still feel fairly committed that we need a little bit more information on the actual kind of facade programs of other towns before we kind of do something in isolation, in addition to some of the numbers, towards the tax abatement.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of what, when, and to just start doing it independently. How do we have the criteria, whether we maximize it for size square foot, or I don't know what that is until we find out more as far as an overall facade plan for the whole town area.
I would agree.
I certainly don't want to slow them down, from at least negotiation standpoint, but I don't know, that's my thought. Well,
I think it makes sense not to do it piecemeal. Right? If we're going to be getting multiple requests for this kind of thing.
How long will it be? What's some type of, any kind of an idea of when we would have that answer? We would have something that we could respond to these kind of requests. Some of them are somewhat time sensitive.
I'm hoping to have some more information about the grant programs for your January meeting.
The kind of programs we're talking about, how they take a long time. Okay.
I just started receiving some information yesterday. From the request I sent out a few weeks ago.
We're trying to be sensitive to petitioners as well, so that they don't have to keep rolling back in here and getting stymied again, so.
Understood.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
I'm just gonna stay until I get the next item.
Yes, please proceed.
Next item is a redevelopment grant request for 10 Florence Avenue. This is the Coffee House 5 location. This was originally looked at as a pavement. Those numbers are in your staff report there, staff summary. Looking at the amount that would be abated over the options, it's a much simpler process to provide a redevelopment grant as opposed to the 5, 7, or 10-year abatements, being the retail nature of the building. In this instance, a 5-year abatement would calculate out to a $12,732 savings over 5 years. Would be staff recommendation to process that redevelopment grant for that 5-year abatement amount. And we do have the property owner, Frank, in here. Answer any questions. If it's a 800 square foot addition, 750 square foot addition, complete remodel of former art gallery. And sidewalks.
Beautiful. Talk a little bit about the, even though it's a meeting, but this grant will, because it goes through Main Street, well, it's not gonna be the full amount that will go through.
Yeah, there'll be a 10% cut that next.
Make sure property owners in.
Main Street does take a 10% processing.
Okay.
questions? Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Numbers.
So basically, we're doing this based on the phase.
It's based on the comparison to the
We
abatement.
don't, unfortunately, don't have that for the other project.
Right, we don't have the numbers on the police station or gas station partner.
You should have the packet though, right? From
Yeah.
the abatement process.
Yeah, I included.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
it for a year, yeah.
Yeah, this should all be included in your bag.
Yep, we've got it.
Yeah, we've got all that. Do you have any questions for the petitioner? Joe? No? Then I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to, well, should just approve the resolution. Can we just do it that way?
That's exactly.
Yeah, make a motion, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2022-11 as presented.
Well, sorry, we need it, now it's 2022-10,
Oh.
but we
Well,
didn't approve the last one, so the next in line is.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, well then, I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-10 as presented.
Motion, do we have a second?
A second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on 2022-10?
When we say that, we need to say anything about Coffee House 5, has changed versus the agenda or anything.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, the numbers I've kind of got in my index of rolling.
Don't need to redo it.
Will there be an issue with 6111 with 10 being kind of on the books? I'm gonna complicate things as far as my record keeping in the resolutions.
I mean, then we're gonna look back for 2022-10 and it won't be there.
Yeah, I did make an index of actual,
Can you just amend this motion and just say?
and it's 6-1 had doesn't other, it's just, I'll have to go back and do some editing to all the documents.
Is there a way to do a placeholder for 2022-10 and just say intentionally omitted, just so there's a spot there?
Or table.
In your system, is that better?
In my record keeping, I did a little index and Stephanie's seen it. So we can actually track these resolutions. I've got 2022-10 for the 15 North Baldwin Street project. But
Well, but I think what she's saying is if we go back and revisit that at the next meeting and that's adopted, that's gonna be 12, right?
It actually be 2023.
That would be 2023-1. Yeah, that's right. Okay, good point.
So yeah, I think if we want to do 10, that's
Wouldn't
fine.
it be 2013 or 2023?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're.
2023 that one.
It'll be
So that's
2023-1.
a good point.
So if you're okay doing 11, I mean 10,
I'm fine with 10. It's just gonna take a little bit of legwork on the back end to get the edits done.
You can't show 10 as table, or 10 is.
You just mean in the resolution that they're signing, like at the top, or other places? too?
All my filings by resolution number, it's just renaming the filing numbers.
what's easier for you to keep it 11?
Yeah, I mean,
It's easier for you
historically,
to keep it at 11,
historically,
but
my office has been responsible for keeping track of resolutions. So if
And
the
that's-
town is doing that and there's an easier way for you, that's fine.
It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It'll take 20 minutes to rename the documents.
Just do it Joe's way. Seriously.
Sorry, I threw a wrench in this.
So now are we back to 11? Or
Yeah, we are back to 11.
Can he amend that motion?
Well, he doesn't need to now, because it was 2011.
But the motion was.
It was for 20, it was for 10
Oh, you
You have to
redid it?
redo it.
I'm confused.
when we did. So we'll just do another, shall we just do another motion?
Yes.
Let's try again.
No, what is it gonna be this time, 11?
Anything with that motion.
Let's 11.
We don't have anything with that motion on the table.
I don't remember.
It was for, I did it for 2022-10.
Then yes, please
And I second.
do a redo.
All right. I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-11 for the Coffee House 5 redevelopment grant as presented.
And he's basically changing his motion. We're amending that motion.
Yeah.
correct?
Yep.
And I second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hopefully not. Roll call vote.
We ready?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Next item, budget review and expense approval. Yeah, it was, the Duffy front deck and then autos. That sounds familiar. Did we already approve the autos or is that another one?
Very, very little activity.
The autos, the parking, striping, I thought we did that one already.
I can't hear you.
The autos,
That was for the striping of that. We did the paving, but this was the actual striping.
Yeah, but we thought we already approved that last,
sounded familiar.
yeah. Maybe we just looked at, oh, you know what?
I think we approved the award of the contract.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we just reviewed.
We approved the award of the contract, but this is the actual payment.
so we need to approve the legal fee and the striping fee.
I make a motion to approve both expenses.
Also,
Motion is second, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye. All right, since we've adopted those new dates, the next meeting will be Thursday, January 12th at 7:30. Hopefully, no, Pat's already gone. I was going to say, hopefully we'll have more information for
He
him.
left mad. No.
Yeah. Anything else? If not, we are adjourned.
I have stuff